For this recipe, the ingredients I'm going to be using are 2 pounds of chicken thigh meat cubed, 1 cup of chopped pineapple, 1 red bell pepper, 1 cup of shredded carrots, 2 or 3 whole green onions. I'm going to cut those into about 1-inch pieces. Then I'm going to be using some coconut sugar, but you can use any kind of sugar. If you're doing the keto version of this recipe, then you can use a sugar substitute, like something like this. Then I'm going to be using some organic tamari. You could also use coconut aminos or just regular soy sauce. I'm going to be using some ketchup. If you are doing the keto version, choose a sugar-free or low sugar option. Toasted sesame oil. For the spices, I'm going to be doing crushed red pepper flakes, some granulated garlic, some onion powder, some black pepper, and some ginger powder. And this last thing is optional. You can do some pot-in-pot rice using a tall trivet and a pot that sits on top of it, and that will cook above the chicken mixture underneath. For that, I'm going to be using 2 cups of white rice and some salt, and also 2 cups of water. If you are doing the keto version of this recipe, you can substitute cauliflower rice, and I would do about 3 cups of cauliflower rice in the pan and then omit the water. The last ingredient I'm going to use here right at the beginning is a little bit of avocado oil for sauteing the chicken. First thing, turn the pot onto saute mode and make sure it is adjusted to high heat. Add 1 tablespoon of cooking oil to your inner pot. I'm using avocado oil, but you could use whatever cooking oil you prefer. When the pot is hot and the oil starts to shimmer, go ahead and add in your chicken and saute it until it is no longer pink. This usually takes like 5 or 6 minutes. While the chicken is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my spices so that they're easy to dump in when the time comes. I am doing 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger powder. I'm not adding any salt to my spice mixture, and that's just because the tamari or soy sauce is going to have a lot of sodium in it already. Also, while the chicken is sauteing, I'm going to go ahead and get my pan of rice ready. I'm putting in 2 cups of rinsed jasmine rice, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 cups of water. Now that my chicken is cooked and no longer pink, I'm going to add in the liquids. First thing is 1/2 cup of tamari or soy sauce or coconut aminos. Next is 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. Next, I'm going to sprinkle in my spice mixture and give it a good stir. Since sugars and tomato products like ketchup can tend to scorch on the bottom of the Instant Pot, I am adding those in at the end, and I'm not going to stir them into the sauce. They're just going to sit on top while the cooking is done, and then they'll get mixed in at the end. For the measurements, I am using 1/2 cup of ketchup and 1/3 of a cup of coconut sugar. Now it's time to place the rice in the pot. Just putting my tall trivet in the inner pot, press it down into the ingredients, and then set the pot of rice on top. Now lock the lid and make sure the pressure release valve is in the sealing position. Don't forget to hit cancel to turn off the saute mode. The cook time for this recipe is 8 minutes on high pressure. While the Instant Pot is cooking, I'm going to prepare my vegetables. I like to add in the vegetables at the very end, and that way they stay nice and crisp and don't overcook under pressure. I am cutting the green onions into about 1-inch chunks, and the bell peppers I'm cutting into 1-inch squares. I also have my 1 cup of shredded carrots ready to go and my 1 cup of pineapple chunks. Now that cook time is finished and the pressure has been releasing naturally for 5 minutes, I'm going to quick release the rest of the pressure. Sorry about the steam. That is one of the hazards of pressure releasing with the Instant Pot. The rice is perfectly cooked, and now I'm going to add the pineapple and vegetables in with my chicken. Now I want to soften my vegetables just slightly, but I want them to still have a nice crisp to them. So I am going to put the lid back on my Instant Pot and let it sit on keep warm mode for about 5 minutes. And that's all there is to it. The chicken is fall apart tender, the vegetables still have a nice crisp to them, and the rice is perfectly cooked.